Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of Data Science and Artificial Intelligence in Africa. Today we have Claire. I'll let her introduce herself, but I'm excited because she's our first guest from Kenya. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you so much, Tatenda. I'm so excited to be here and to be just on your platform. And it's actually interesting that I'm the first guest you've had from Kenya. So yay to that. So my name is Claire Matuka. I'm a data scientist. I'm a statistician, and I also like to describe myself as an AI enthusiast. I do work full-time as a data scientist, but I also like engaging in talks, conferences, boot camps, all these cool things regarding both data science as well as artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Thank you for that's a very detailed introduction. It talks about all the things that I got interested in when I saw your profile. You're the first guest because I've been trying to talk to other people, but sometimes they don't respond. And then there's one other guest who they agreed, but we kept missing each other's schedules, timetables. So it didn't work out. But yeah, so I'm really glad to have you here. So moving on to the rest of the questions for this interview. So can you tell us more about your background? Like, what did you study? How did you get into data science, AI?
Yeah, so for me, it's actually quite interesting. If you asked me 5 years ago if I was gonna be a data scientist, I probably wouldn't have that answer. I just had a love for math. I've always been good at math, like ever since I was born. And when I had to go to university, I decided to do something that I actually like, and that was a math-related course. So I ended up doing a Bachelor of Science in Statistics for 4 years right here in Kenya. And as I was doing that program, I realized that currently you in as much as you can have all the math, you can't really do it like by hand. So our course merged both math as well as the computer aspect of it.
Okay.
So we got to learn about like programming languages. Actually, like the first language I learned was like C++. And we did a bit of R. We were doing SATA, these statistical softwares. Around my third year, I was a bit bored in school, so I decided to like do this IBM data science program. At this point, I really didn't know anything about data science. I had never even heard of the term. But the program sounded interesting and it would keep me busy for 3 months. So I ended up doing it, and it was my first introduction to big data, data science, AI, and all those things. I then finished it, and immediately after, I just knew, okay, this is what I want to do, and I started freelancing as a data analyst. That's in my 4th year. That's my background as to how I found myself into data science.
That's interesting. I saw that you did some courses, and I was like, in 2018, I remember I saw a book about data is it for dummies? You know, the For Dummies series. I saw that I bookmarked it, and I was like, I will read this at some point. But then I never got to do it. Yeah. And then, afterwards with doing my master's at Ames, it just all like fell into place. So I see that you are into a lot of like speaking engagements. So how did that start?
It's actually also a funny story. Like, it's just like in life, none of these things are planned. So when I finished my university, I immediately got a job at a startup here in Kenya. It was known as Adenian Labs. And while I was here, I actually started as a data science intern before moving on to becoming a data scientist. And then right into my first year, my boss, my colleague and I decided, let's start a startup. And we began a startup, and the startup was all about AI, and I was no longer just a data scientist. I had to like start speaking to people, speaking to business leaders, businesses. I needed to start being present in these talks, conferences. Most of them were actually on Zoom at the time, because that's when, I think it was around 2020. So the pandemic had just hit. And so as I started getting on these talks, people will be like, "Oh, I actually understand what you're saying. Can you tell us more? Can you explain to us more?" And I was like, "Oh, interesting." And yeah, that's just how I found myself into these talks. I started getting invited to more talks, started engaging more with people. Yeah, and that's I think that would be a good way of explaining how I got into the conferences, talking, teachings, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it quite interesting. And I also saw that you recently spoke at the Global AI Summit, and you're the Swiss Cognitive Ambassador. Maybe you can share more about what that is about.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with Swiss Cognitive.
Okay.
So Swiss Cognitive, they basically share a lot of information about AI. Their goal is to just, my goal as an ambassador rather, is to just share more about AI, bring awareness to what AI is, the different industries and the different ways it can be applied in, and also generally just to create some sort of community around artificial intelligence and all that. So the Global AI Ambassador program actually started this year, and they basically just selected a couple of people, most of whom have actually taken part in their talk. So Swiss Cognitive normally has, if I can say, talks or virtual teachings every single month. So they do one every single month. And most of the ambassadors have participated in those talks in one way or another at some point in time.
Okay.
So that's Swiss Cognitive. For the Global AI Summit, so Riyadh and let me say Saudi Arabia, they're just basically trying to build up their name in AI as well as tech. And so they decided to hold an actual physical AI conference that just brought together people from all parts of the world. It was 3 days, and it was just a lot of discussion about AI as well in different industries. So yeah, that was quite exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some pictures on LinkedIn. So how does one get to become a speaker at a Global AI Summit? Do they invite you? Do you apply?
Personally, I did not apply. I'm not so sure if other people did apply, but personally, they did reach out to me, and they invited me to be a part of the summit. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. And then for the Swiss Cognitive, do you also apply to become an ambassador?
I'm not so sure as well if they apply, because similar to the summit, I was sent an email that would like you to be an ambassador. So yeah, I also did not. I can say that I applied for it. But moving forward, I think it's actually interesting because there are so many platforms and so many of these conferences. I've seen actually a couple that you most of these you actually have to apply. So if you do want to, this is just to anyone, if you do want to participate in these things, one, I'd say just make sure that you are actually doing something that is in relation to that, because it makes your chances higher of being a part of this summit, and sharing your knowledge and actually just have something to share, something interesting. Yeah, and also I'd just like to add that I also do boot camps. So I organize boot camps myself. I participate in boot camps myself. So that also helps in showing that, okay, I am trying to teach and spread education about artificial intelligence and data science.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Like you can't just wake up and want to be a
Yeah,
speaker at a conference, but you're not doing like active work in the field. So
yeah.
I mean, going back to starting the company that you started with your boss and someone from the company you're working at. But how, like, was your department big, or it was just the three of you, and then you just decided to start together, or you just happened to be like close colleagues, and then you talked about it, and then you ended up doing it?
I'd just like to point out, so the we in Nairobi right now, there's a very big startup culture, right? There's so many people starting startups. So it's just about identifying a need. So while I was still a data scientist, we sort of figured out that there was a lack of one basic education about AI and people being able to offer like AI as a service to businesses as well as R&D in AI. And so we just came together. Already the lab had a very small data science team, and so everyone in the data science team was sort of absorbed into the startup. But it was literally under 10 people when we started. We did not have like a whole group of people, but that's basically how the startup started.
Okay. And how is it going now? How is the company? How big is it now?
I'm not so sure because I actually left. I left last year. So yeah.
Sorry, there was a glitch there. Can you please repeat what you said?
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm saying that I actually left the startup about a year ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And what are you doing now currently, in terms of both your work and
Mhm.
are you still doing any work outside your current like full-time job?
So currently, I've mainly been working on contracts. So ever since I left, I started doing like data science contracts, but specifically, I don't know why, but I keep getting in touch with startups.
Oh,
So if a startup needs a database system built or a way to collect their data, I've been doing that. So it's mainly being more like contractual and consultancy kind of work. But yeah, I'm starting also like a full-time job in like the next month. So there's also that.
okay. That's interesting. I mean, so how is like generally the data science space in Kenya? Do you think it's a mature field where a lot of people have the skills and there are a lot of companies to actually apply those skills, or it's still a growing field?
I think that definitely there's an improved space right here in Kenya. And I'd say I'd attribute that one to a lot of data. And then there's also high competition currently in the market. So the only way to stand out, I would say, would be to make better decisions, have better insights. And the only way this can be achieved is by data science and AI. I believe that companies are in different levels. There's an AI maturity model, and I feel like every company. I'm yet to meet a company that's like. I'm not so sure if there are companies that are at the last stage of AI maturity, but most of the companies that have achieved that are the big wigs, the Google, Microsoft, and all that. But yeah, I would say most companies are heading there. They do have some sort of data team in place. They are doing some sort of analysis or predictions. So yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's really good. So can you tell me more about like what a day looks like for you, like a work day? I know you're doing mostly like consulting work, but what does it look
Yeah.
like for you?
So actually, it's funny because my consulting work is basically just data science because I code all day. There's nothing, there's nothing like too interesting to it. So basically, I don't know how to explain, but I code all day, but it just depends on what I'm coding. I'm either cleaning data or I'm trying to gather insights, like exploratory data analysis, or I am building models that can be unsupervised, supervised. Yeah, that's basically what I do on a day to day. I just code. I mainly use Python personally to do my data analysis or data science work. But I also have had the opportunity to use things like R and SPSS before. But currently I mainly work with Python. Yeah.
Okay. And then in terms of structure, do you work from home or you have an office? You work from
I actually, yeah, I fully work from home currently.
Okay. So, yeah, that was part of the reason why I was asking because I know that when you're working from home, it's quite difficult to structure your day properly. And sometimes when you're just feeling lazy, you can just like sit there and be like, I will do it later. So, how do you go about planning your day so that you're productive?
Actually, it's just that I have deadlines. There's no two ways about it. I just have deadlines.
If you didn't
So,
have deadline, you wouldn't be doing it so efficiently.
yeah, actually, like one of the things that I set out, especially if you're freelancing or doing contract jobs or consulting and you're working from home, always make sure that you have deadlines, because if you don't have deadlines, it's so hard for you to just sit and like, just I'll be like, oh, I'll just write one line of code today, I'll do the rest tomorrow. So when there are deadlines in place, when I know, okay, I need to get this done by Wednesday, best believe I'm going to get it done no matter how long, or yeah, how long it takes. So yeah.
Yeah, I
And in terms of you've asked about productivity, I would say that something that I've come to realize is that when you are passionate about something or you actually enjoy doing it, it's very easy to be, if I can say, I don't want to say productive. It's not like I'm like on the laptop the whole day. But but to me, productivity is just like getting things that you're supposed to do, like making sure that they're done. So yeah, it helps that I enjoy what I'm doing. So I sort of even get lost doing the work. I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime already. So yeah.
Okay, that's really good advice. I mean, sometimes I feel like I really need lessons on how to be productive, but then the other times I'm just like, you know what? You are a grown person now. You just need to make sure you get what needs to be done. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for anyone who wants to start out in this field? I mean, I'm particularly interested in someone who wants to start their own, maybe data science consulting startup. What advice would you give to them?
Wow, that's a lot. Number one, I would say make sure that you learn, because if you learn, you become more confident in yourself and you're able to sell yourself better. It enables you to be in positions or to be able to sell yourself better if you actually have the knowledge to back it up. Actually, before that, I'd like to say that we don't all have to do data science, guys. Like, there's so many other things you said in the field. I'm going to take it as in the field of data. There are
Okay.
so many other things within data science or within AI. You can choose to be a data engineer. You can be an ML ops or an ML engineer. You can still be a data analyst. You can be a data scientist. Like, there's so many fields within it. So instead of everyone running to data science, I would say just scope out what you like doing, because everything is a bit of something. So just scope out what you'd like to do. And if you want to do everything, good for you. But just make sure as you're learning, you're practicing as well. Because when you learn, and then do, it doesn't make sense. And for me, actually, most of my skills and most of the knowledge I have, I learned it by doing it. I didn't, like, I would get something and I'm like, okay, I need to do clustering. Maybe I've never heard of clustering before, but I'll do it as I learn it, and it would, I don't know, stick in my brain more, as opposed to just reading about it and then just sitting and, waiting. So yeah, I would say learn, and it will enhance your confidence. And then the other thing I would say is that make sure that you're connecting with other people in the space, be it other data scientists, other developers, because you get to learn a few things, you get to engage with them and learn one or two, three things that you didn't know before. Literally at this point, all my friends are either data engineers or software engineers or data scientists. Like most of my friends, we are in the same field, and it's whenever anything new happens in the field, it's so easy for me to know because yeah, they're all in the same scope, and yeah, it helps everyone to build their knowledge. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, these are all the questions that I wanted to ask. If there's anything that you'd like to add on to the discussion that you think might be useful to anyone watching this video, you can say something.
Anything I'd like to add? I would say when this has mainly happened because so many people reach out to me asking me for opportunities or jobs. Guys, I'm also as well looking for opportunities. But I'd just like to say that um, keep it up, like the you being that aggressive and you reaching out and you trying to get these opportunities, it's a really good thing. And I would like encourage more of you to just go out there and try and find yourself some opportunities. Please don't be afraid to reach out to people. I remember when I was working in the startup, there's someone who just reached out to me on LinkedIn, was like, "Hi, I see what you're doing. I'd like to be a data scientist here and here." And that's literally how they ended up becoming a data scientist. So yeah, you never know, guys. Reach out to the recruiters, reach out to data science heads or data scientists in various companies, and don't reach out from a point of tell me what's happening. Show that you have done your research, and then now just show them that you're available, you're willing to work, and you want to do something. Yeah.
That's really good advice. Thank you so much for making time for this. Yeah, and I'm gonna end the video now.
Thank you so much.